Hello and welcome back to the Wicket Train podcast. I'm joined with another past and present great of the GCA, Colin Millard. How you going?
Yeah, good. Thanks, Levi. Thanks for having me.
No problem. For those that don't know, Colin has played a career for both Grovedale, Geelong City, North Geelong, and has been coach of many clubs. His stats: 5,732 runs to record, averaging about 26, 333 wickets by stats, and averaging 20 with the ball. So pretty handy all rounder there, Colin.
Yeah, I've sort of gone between both at different times, and been lucky enough to get a few runs and get a few wickets along the way. Even snuck a bit of wicket keeping in there over the years as well, just to round the whole thing out. So yeah,
Jack of all trades.
that's what you got to do to keep your place sometimes if you're lucky to play in good sides.
So we'll look into the Grover career to start with, the 0304 flag. I hit up one of your teammates, Mark Brady. He said you were an aggressive opening bat who used to try to pull everything for six, anything that was short, and then you added spin later on to your time at Grovedale. Do you remember much from that 0304 flag?
Yeah, look, it was a pretty special time. It was like at that stage that was Grovy's first Div One flag, and they'd gone close a few times and never quite got there. We actually won a couple of the knockout cup finals in that period as well, which was pretty special. Um, but yeah, we were lucky. We had the big fast bowler Graham Harper and a fella by the name of Gary Kelson, who's probably, as far as I'm concerned, one of the best bats to have played GCA cricket in the last 25 years. At the peak of their powers, and um, they had a really good day. Captain Mark Baker got a good 80 odd, and yeah, the rest of us chimed in. So that's what you do to make a good team.
From that Grovey team, who was the best person to share a change room with?
Oh, Bakes was hilarious. If anybody knows Mark Baker, he was captain coach that year, or captain. Barry Tippett was coach, who coached Marshall this year. But Bakes just had that great way of bringing people together and making you feel important, and always up for a laugh, and just a cracking fella to this day. And I know he's just loved and revered around Grovedale to this day. So yeah, having him in the dressing room, there was a few other fellas there that were always good fun to be around as well, like the Ford brothers and the like. But yeah, it was just a good atmosphere and a good team.
And then the 05, 06 runners up, you were coaching. What was it like coaching that good group of Grovey boys?
Yeah, oh, actually, that was a bit different that year. Bakes and Gary actually decided to have the year off, so we were actually pretty light on for players early on. We were sort of just getting by Christmas, and then the two of them decided they'll put the comeback at Christmas, and I think we got in a run of winning probably seven or eight in a row just to make the finals, and then to get through to a grand final. And, we went close against East. Brendan Hall, who'd returned to the game after I think at that stage he'd had a major heart attack, and used to be an opening bowler, ended up getting like 80 and 90 and getting us pretty close, but we just fell over at the last. So again, some pretty special times with a great bunch of blokes, and yeah, they, I think Gary and Graham probably ended up winning 4 or 5 premierships there, and a lot of them making hundreds and taking 5 and 6s. So it just shows their class on that big stage.
Yeah, obviously a golden time for Grovedale there. Did you find a difference being a player in the team in 03, 04 to then stepping up to be the coach in 05, 06?
Um, 100%. Like, there is obviously more pressure, and being an all rounder, it can be hard to know when to bowl and when not to bowl yourself. It's tricky at times. So that was definitely like Bakes was just a batter and he pulled the strings, and we had some good plans and they came off in 03, 04. Again, 05, 06, there was probably not that depth early in the year. So Graham and myself probably had to share a lot of the load early on until we got a few more troops around us. But we had some great club stalwarts. There was somebody like a Michael Moore who probably only played 8, 9 games of first 11 cricket, and they were all that season. ends up, might have played 100, 150 games of seconds cricket, gets to play a whole season of firsts and do a job and play in a grand final. Again, it was really rewarding to see what those guys could step up and do in those sort of moments, and what they could actually achieve in a good environment. So that was pretty cool.
Did you feel like there was a massive influence to your star players of Carlson and Harper, or was it everyone contributing all at once?
Um, Look, it definitely was a bit different, and it's only, and sitting back and watching the North Geelong side of the last 5 years and even the last 10 years, that's the first side that I've seen for a long time that's just had so many role players that all just go in and do their bits. For most of the time, you had your 2 or 3 stars, and then you had people that were good cricketers that can contribute. But often it was which stars shone brightest on the big stage, whether it was a Glenn Tallarico through that era, or like I say, Gary Kelson, people like that, a Peter Quick at East Belmont. That whoever was going to shine brightest on the biggest stage often got the chocolates on the day. But now it's certainly, you can just see with the different levels and the depth of players. Most sides go a lot deeper than maybe we did then, but yeah, it was still pretty good cricket, good fun.
Obviously, being an all-rounder, is there a person you hated bowling to the most, or a person you hated batting to the most in that set, Drysdale?
Oh, Graham nearly killed me a few times. He was lightning on his day. Gary Kelson wasn't much fun facing because you just bowled little naggy outies, and you always just wanted to whack him and he'd get you out. But bowling at, probably Bakes, because he just liked to whack everything. He just had no respect for anybody, and because you couldn't get him out in the nets, he didn't mind if you got him out. He'd just tell you that it went over the field and then hit you for a couple more up onto the hill, or try and hit you as far as he could. So yeah, there's been a lot of those around the years though.
And now, is the person you've played against who's been the toughest opponent or toughest batter you've had to deal with?
Best batter? That's a really good question. Probably a couple. Chris Bambury was Lara, East Belmont. He just loved to fight, and so you couldn't sort of get into the mental side of the game with him, and he just could bat and bat and bat. So you wanted to see the back of him. Glenn Tallarico, on his day, the most elegant batter I've ever seen. Like, unbelievable. Really glad I didn't have to bowl at Gary in his prime. I got to play with him because I think he would have been a nightmare as well. To face Peter Quick, I think, would be my personal one. Quickie used to get me out for fun. The rest, as you said in the intro, if they bowled one back of a length, it didn't really seem to matter. and I used to like whipping them off sort of just outside off over square leg, still do to this day. So that was sort of unusual to a lot of bowlers. They hadn't seen that, especially in that era where everybody was very technically correct. It's probably something you watch on TV a lot more now, and Steve Smith's taking off stump and whipping you through the leg side, which is my style. So, Quickie by far though with the ball, just because he could get me out all the time. Brad Stacey, ex-Shield player, leggy. He was pretty. I could not pick his wrong one. So,
Obviously, more recent, your coaching was able to take you to Geelong City and North Geelong. Obviously, being able to be president as well for North Geelong for about 5 years there. What's it
Yep.
like coaching those sort of all the top end clubs? You got North Geelong and Geelong City. Is there a massive difference between them all, or is it you take a similar approach to all clubs?
Oh, look, it's probably one of those things. The more you do it, the better. I generally believe, especially as a captain and as a coach, the more you do it and the older you get, the better you get at it. The problem is, as a player, you start to tail off. So, as a coach and a leader, I'd say definitely North Geelong got the better out of me in that sense. You just start to understand how people operate a bit more and how to relate to different people that maybe at a younger age you're still trying to work that out yourself. definitely, I can see a lot of similarities between Grovedale and North. Probably a little bit different to City. City just didn't have probably still don't, the depth of players available, which doesn't allow you to sometimes make tough calls that you need to make, or push a few people a bit harder at times to get a bit more out of them, and challenge a few things. And that's partly, a big factor of where they are. There's so many clubs in that little pocket of Geelong vying for the young talent. Um, but North's been fantastic. They've really embraced change like no one else I've seen from a club perspective. They do things that um, I haven't experienced anywhere else, and really haven't seen anything else. And it's just been lucky to have some fantastic external leaders, whether they're from business or that at the club, that have been able to bring those skills, which then have changed the culture. And they're seeing the benefits of it now, like, and they have for a long time.
Obviously, I spoke to Tom Matheson earlier on, who was a part of the team. What was it like being a club person watching North Geelong win that five in a row?
Oh, it's been great. Um, and look, I know for myself, one of the biggest kicks I've been, because still playing and captaining lower grades, you'll see kids go up through, like Tom Bag. I think he's played probably two or three of those. Played a lot of third 11 cricket with Tom, and really helped him with his craft early on. And then to see him go and get Pfeiffer in his first grand final, and other young players that maybe people didn't think that were going to end up being first 11 players, let alone premiership players, getting a shot, or even if it's just a shot to be a good second 11 player. It's pretty cool to see that and see what it means to them and their families. And just to see the input and see people like Tommy Math. I was lucky enough to play with Tom as a 17-year-old in my last couple of years on the ones. See him as grow, and he's a father, and just what a leader he is. It's fantastic to see that sort of stuff.
What was it like having obviously all that hard work being president, helping the club for that 5 years, and to watch him turn it around and be one of the most dominant clubs in Geelong?
Yeah, well, it's what you set it up for. Like, I think I came to the club 15 years ago, roughly, and at the time they were worried about getting demoted, and we actually sat down and said, "This is about we're going the long journey here." At that stage, even, and said, we've got to promote some younger people. We've got to sort of mentor. At that stage, we had a young fella by the name of Sam Hall, and my whole role was to captain and coach for a few years and hand over to Sam, which is exactly how it panned out. And then I would mentor Sam for a few years, and then he's turned into one of the greatest leaders around the GCA. And he's doing, in return, he's been there for Tom. But that doesn't happen overnight. Gravy's success didn't happen overnight. They had a great group of juniors, and they put the time and effort into their culture. And then, under Barry Cheetahs, they got the rewards. And that's the same now. So you sow the seeds, that sometimes they take a fair while to come for fruition. And there's a few people that don't get to ride the whole journey. But it's been fantastic to see it and just see where it can go, and who knows where it'll end up. Like, they're still going to be right up the pointy end this year. Whether they win it or not, that can come down to one good day or bad day, but I think they'll be still right amongst it.
Also, you've worked in both the men's and now you're obviously big development in the women's side of cricket for North Geelong, and especially even the GCA in general, obviously being league coordinator of the girls' cricket since about 2020, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
What
Yeah,
does
and
that
I've had 5 years of that. Yep.
what does that entitle, that role?
So I effectively manage the girls' competition, um, right from fixturing, sponsorship. I've got a few people that help me out, but we manage all that, run all the rep programs. So it's very much a same sort of thing as you'd expect from the junior boys. Just, I suppose, on a bit of a smaller scale. They've got 1,800 kids playing. I think the girls are up to 300 now, which is pretty impressive in itself. But yeah, it's just all encompassing. It's those little things that people I've learnt when somebody says, "Damn the GCA, why didn't they work that out?" A lot of the time, it's me. um, it's me that sits there on a Sunday morning or a Saturday night making sure all the results are in and the ladders add up, and um, just going through contacting parents about rep cricket, or it's kind of endless. To be honest, I never realised until I got involved with it at that level how much there was. And now with things like Facebook and Instagram and the like, there's an expectation that you're posting photos and putting match reports and all sorts of stuff on that as well. So it's fairly involved, and certainly definitely looking for more people to jump in and help. And I know the boys and even the senior section in the same boat. It's just trying to get volunteers to keep helping those things, because without the volunteers you can't have the great competitions. But yeah, it's rewarding. It's great to see.
Obviously, you've been a big part of the girls' cricket. What's it like watching even like just the North Geelong team, and obviously you got an eye on the rest of the league. What's it like watching the girls' program develop in Geelong?
Oh, it's been fantastic actually. The level and the standard. It's not that many years ago, be nothing to have 20, 30 extras in a game. I think under 18 grand final this year, there was in a 2020 fixture probably 5 extras on either side. Like it's a and that was with 2 GCA first umpires. Um, so just to see the standard, the fielding, it's gone in leaps and bounds, and but more importantly, the friendship and the involvement. We're probably spoilt as men and boys. Like we've always had cricket and footy and any range of sports we could rock up and play with our mates and have a good time, and everything was just laid out. I was lucky enough to have 2 daughters, and my youngest followed me around cricket all her life and wanted to get involved. Um, and now that they've got those opportunities and they've got heroes, so it's just an extension of the boys' comp. It's no different. It's just junior cricket. That's how I see it now. You've got junior cricket they play on a Saturday morning and a Friday night, and junior cricket you play on a Sunday morning, and there's some fantastic skill sets um, coming through, and then that's transitioning into women's cricket. These young players coming through, they're actually starting to really dominate. I think the A grade grand final last couple of years, I think 30-40% of the players are juniors, and they've more than they're obviously good enough to get their sides in the grand finals and compete. So really talented bunch, and it's just going to keep going strength to strength, I think.
Obviously, with your time at North Geelong, obviously being coach as well, do you spend much time coaching the women's team as well?
So I coach the under 18s. I've done that. I've pretty much followed my daughter since under 11, under 12s. So this will be her last year under 18s. And I was assistant coach with the women's this year because as Natasha played in the A grade, which is the offie in the team. So yeah, it's split the time with that. And given that we had so many girls, like we would have 12 under 15s and under 18s, probably half fill our A grade, half fill our B grade, and half fill our E grade each week. So we'd even merge a lot of the training sessions. It just made a lot of sense to be over all the sections. So yeah, it was really rewarding. I think this year North Geelong will be the first club. They won the Div 1 first men's and the Div 1 first women's. So that's a first for GCA to have them both in the same year. So again, you can just see, and there's juniors that have come through in both, which is exactly what you want to see.
Do you take a bit of pride on yourself for being able to help develop the women's cricket in Geelong?
Oh, look, there's certainly some pride in it. I get more out of seeing. I've been lucky enough to take the girls' rep side away to Hamilton the last 2 or 3 years, and you see some of the friendships the kids have for girls from other clubs and the confidence they get in themselves by spending. We stay up there at the boarding school for 3 nights and just play cricket every day and do coaching sessions, and you see the growth and confidence that the girls get that they probably don't have. Just again, they just haven't had the opportunities. And then to see the way that they are around the club, and they've got a great place to be now themselves. So yeah, I am proud of that, in that having some small part in allowing them to have, I suppose, what I took for granted all my life, and knowing that my daughter's got access and some of her best friends have got access that forever. So it's pretty cool in that, and I think footy's doing the same sort of thing now. It's just a great thing for clubs as a whole to have that whole family playing the game.
What's been your biggest achievement coaching? Obviously, you got the women's, the Grovey flag, and your time with North Geelong and Geelong City. What do you reckon your biggest achievement is?
Biggest achievement? That's a good question. For me, like, it's great to win the final prize. And again, people have different styles of coaching. Mine has always probably been more of a developmental coach rather than a finisher, which probably meant, and you know, I'm probably not the person that's going to take a North Geelong coaching side at the top of their game to the next level. That's where a Craig Bitterscombe or the like kicks in. But can I find three players that won't be rolling around in the third 11 and turn them into quality twos players or quality ones players that can do a job and play a role? Yeah, I've had a lot of success with that. That's probably the proudest thing I've had. And again, with the girls, just being able to identify their strengths. The under 18 girls that I've coached, we've gone back to back. They're not they've got talent, but we've just played to their strengths rather than trying to turn them all into Meg Lanning or Elise Perry. So, and just let them be themselves a little bit, and they've had a lot of success doing that. Sometimes a bit unorthodox, but a lot of cricket these days, just go and watch the IPL. There's a lot of unorthodox stuff happening, so why not roll with it rather than trying to make them all cookie cutter cricketers? And I think they like that and appreciate the fact that if they naturally want to be aggressive, well, be aggressive, and that's the same with the men's cricket. Be aggressive, hit the ball, back yourself in. So I'd say that's more that individual stuff's been my biggest success and most rewarding part.
What does next year for yourself look like? You're going to go for the three-peat, the under-18s, continue to play cricket and help others?
Look, it'd be great to go through, but if we don't win it, we don't win it, as long as they keep learning in the 18s. So yeah, I'll coach again. I'll do the girls comp. We actually had our planning meeting last night with the clubs for the next season. They had at St Joseph's, so get ready again to try and do it again. Big focus is probably trying to get that, go back to back with the women's section, get them up and about. And unfortunately, they didn't get to play the grand final this year because it was the 140-degree day we had all year, and it got heated out. So it is, as much as it was wonderful to, and they deserve to be rewarded. They were on top of the second place at the end of the year, and results went their way in the semis. But it's much better to obviously play that last day and get the reward on the last day. And obviously do what we can. I'd love to see a couple more of the third and fourth 11 guys, like young fellas that are playing under 17, get up and hopefully have an impact like a Harvey Miles did this year in the twos. I was lucky to play a fair bit with him last year, and see how many of those can go and play second 11 cricket. Benny DeMasi, any of those young fellas, and there's another batch that you probably have struck along the time that are hopefully knocking the door down. And play some turf cricket this year. And if we do the right things, I think we'll be right there at the pointy end in all the competitions. So,
Welcome, that might do us. Thank you for joining me. Obviously, ladies and gents, this was Colin Millard, Grovey flag winner, played for Grovedale for many years, 5,000 plus runs. Obviously, the bits, coach at City North and Grovedale, and developing the women's program.
thanks for having me, Levi.